we've discovered that life is a lot about choices, okay? And how we live and what we choose to believe and what we choose to think makes all the difference, right? And we've seen people who choose not to believe in God, and the same situation that my wife is in, and they're bitter and angry and hostile. Well, the situation you described, where Kim is in a hospital bed, and she's been told she can't move her arms or hands or anything. Well, we had brought in a CD player to play some music for her. CD got stuck, and she couldn't reach her call button to alert the nurses.
That's right.
And
That's right.
this thing is driving her crazy. So she had a choice of either to sit there and live with it and drive herself crazy, or in her mind say, I'm not going to let paralysis get in the way of trying to move. So all night long, she just, in her mind, she was determined to get there, right? And with the power of God and with the power of her own prayer and her determination, she's a redheaded Texan, she was able to just move her hand a couple of inches and press the call button.
Now, from what people are hearing in this time, you both sound like just amazing, triumphant overcomers, full of faith. But in fact, Kim lost the sense of God's presence through this part of the journey and asked you, where had he gone?
Yeah.
And you yourself talk about the battle against the tormentor, the dragon.
Yeah.
One of the sentences, mind chatter. Do we know what mind chatter is? Sure. Mind chatter often breaks through the silence of idle moments and too easily conspires to create horrifying thoughts of all that might have been. The if onlys, the threat of depression, of guilt, of all of those things. You had to do battle there, and you had to be the encourager for Kim when she wondered where God had gone.
Yeah, I mean, those are tough times. Because for Kim and lots of people, I mean, Kim was physically broken and physically disconnected, and her whole world, sensually it was chaotic, right? She couldn't feel things, and she was wondering where God was. She couldn't feel God at that particular point. It didn't last long, but it was a very, very challenging situation. And yes, we had people praying for us and with us. But one of the things that I learned is what Kim really wanted and needed from me or from anyone was to say to her, I will carry you to God. I will be your bridge. I'll be your connection, right?
Yes.
And something that, a lot of people, when they say, how can I help? The first thing they should do is just say, I will be there for you, right? I'll be your connection to things you're disconnected from or with.
Like Job's comforters in the first week. They were okay in the first week,
right?
Weren't they? Now, where did I put that bulletin? This is just, I just thought it was interesting. We were hearing from missionaries and hearing about Haiti in church on Sunday, and I looked in the bulletin and noticed that we have a city-wide prayer and worship day here in Burlington at the end of the month. The topic, God is with us in troubled times.
Yes.
Is that your experience?
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's with us all the time, okay? And I think when things are going swimmingly, we tend to think that it's our doing, not necessarily his. And I think when things are challenging, then at least for guys like me, and this is my challenge, is am I in control or is God in control? Can I fix these things, or do I have trust enough in God to give the burdens over to him? And I really do think that, it's in our moments of weakness and our challenges that's where God meets us. I don't think he saves us from our adversity. He saves us in our adversity.
And although busyness was therapeutic for part of this journey,
yes.
you had handfuls of purpose,
Yes.
and that was a positive thing until it became a distraction from a need to deal with what was going on the inside.
Yes.
Rick Warren says busyness is the greatest cause of barrenness in the church. We are all at risk of losing what we really need by just staying too busy.
Oh my goodness. Well, having something to do is great. It creates momentum and it gives us purpose, and it creates a sense of getting out of inertia into activity. But boy, if the devil doesn't corrupt us one way, he'll make us busy, because it's a distraction. busyness separates us from the things that are, and confuses us from the things that are urgent versus what's important, right? And I think in a crisis situation where there's something new and chaotic, it's real easy to get caught up in having to do everything and focusing on the urgent and ignoring what's more important.
I want to ask how you all are now, but I'd like to show and tell
Sure.
your answer.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get to work today. There are no pictures in here. And to see Kim and your beautiful daughter, beautiful women at home. Here is your family today. Olivia is now how old?
Oh, she's 7.
7.
Yep.
And we're going to see, now here is Kim in her wheelchair. What mobility does she have?
Well, so she's gotten full recovery of her arms and hands. She can drive an adapted minivan. She can walk. I mean, she uses a walker.
Really?
And her recovery has been unbelievable. She really can, she can climb stairs with a walker, and
my.
you know, it's
I
she's
didn't
not.
expect that.
Yeah, well, she does 4 days at least a week.
You were both so athletic too before. Sorry.
I used to be in a former life, right? Now I'm a weekend guy, but yeah. So there she is skiing in one of those adapted, kind of a mono ski or a sled, and using her arms and hands for steering. Now, what's neat is if you're an adrenaline junkie, she said that it's far more exciting skiing in one of those than it was on her able-bodied legs.
Really?
Because she's so much closer to the snow. So things are going really fast, and she can move on that thing.
This is an unstoppable family.
Well, you know, I've got a great bunch of girls, and, you know, she's from Texas. So
Does that say something?
That says a lot.
And here you are at the now you became an ardent
Yes.
football fan
Well,
because of this marriage.
Texas Longhorns. I didn't have a choice because I'm from Connecticut. I grew up being scared of people from Texas, and so I realized that there is nothing to be afraid of, right? But if I was going to stay married, I had to be a UT football fan.
2 very important things. One of the first items of counsel when you did get some help in navigating through all the paperwork and so on was to get a divorce. That you would actually do better financially if you divorced Kim. And 75% of married couples do in a crisis like this. It is a good thing your marriage had a strong foundation before this crisis.
Absolutely. And to me, that whole situation was crazy. When we had a social worker come into the hospital
And give you that counsel.
well, and they offered, you know, what the minimum threshold was for assistance. And in the U.S., it was like $24,000, which means that we were not going to get any. And for her to say that, you know, divorce would be a good idea just blew me away. It was a non-starter, of course.
I think you have revolutionary blood in you. Tell us, your father's side, a direct descendant of Israel Bissell?
Israel Bissell.
Bissell?
He picked up the reins from Paul Revere during the midnight ride of Paul Revere. So Paul Revere actually stopped at a pub and had a few pints. Israel Bissell finished the ride.
He did the famous ride.
Yes.
And tell us about your mother's side.
Von der Schulenburg, they were very involved in the July 20th, 1944 assassination plot against Adolf Hitler.
Did somebody play them in Valkyrie with Tom Cruise?
No, we're not actors, but
But they were there.
They were involved
In the
absolutely.
real history.
Yep.
Amazing, amazing. The end of one chapter, you say, people experience many different kinds of crises, each of which is unique to those who endure them, but they are the same in that each is intended to bring us to our knees. Ultimately, the only way to conquer the crisis is to first succumb to it. We have to bring our hands together in submission, but look up, not down. This book is available everywhere. Everybody who's gone through a major life event needs it. And you have a special deal. Tell us very quickly.
Yeah, so I know that you're raising some funds for Haiti, which
Yes.
is a huge, obviously, tragedy. But on my website, gilahrens.com, if people order the book and put in the code HAITI, H-A-I-T-I, they'll get 10% off any book, and I'll donate 25% to Food for the Hungry.
Fantastic. What a blessing. I'm so glad you've come to us. And I want to say to you, if you're feeling shattered, shaken, and stirred, I know prayer right now could help you. Please give us a